Show you a little bit more closely some of these materials that I used in our example pack out video. I'm going to start off with these ice packs right here. These are 2-pound ice packs. As I mentioned a couple other times probably throughout the course, bigger the ice pack, the better. The smaller they are, the quicker they'll thaw. So these are 2-pounders. They also sell 5-pounders. I've used both. So it really just depends on what fits your pack out situation the best. Either way, the idea is you don't want to go less than 2 pounds on your ice packs. This is a tape gun, and you know, maybe this is elementary for some people, but I don't want to assume because, you know, it's a very important tool, and if you don't have it, it can make life really, really hard when it comes to packing. So you can get these off Amazon pretty affordably, and they usually come in packs of 1 or 2, sometimes 4. But when you buy your tape, which is another thing that you need to get, which usually I just buy mine off Amazon. Sometimes there's other places you can buy them, but I've just found it's easiest, especially because it ships really quick. So you just load your tape up there, and then you can easily, you know, slap it on the box and pull tape right over your boxes as you're packing out. Right here is a free insulation material. You want to use these to fill up dead space. So and to line your boxes to create air circulation. So I always like to, before I put my box in, I'll crumple up newspaper and I'll put them on the bottom. And that creates a cushion to allow that air to circulate because we're making little mini freezers for our frozen product. And then if you have extra dead space on top, you want to fill that in with more roughage. I like recycled newspaper because it's free. And it kind of goes along with that environmentally friendly motto and branding that we have behind our company. So I've heard some people say, yeah, well, it's not really pretty. I don't know. I guess for me, you can always reinforce that messaging with a little tiny flyer, which I think we have one here. Oh, no, I think we're out. But usually we have a little tiny card that just says our commitment to the environment, and it explains the use of newspaper and biodegradable liners in the box and stuff like that. So, but this is just an option. I've also seen people use everything from construction paper to packing peanuts to really whatever material you have laying around. So it doesn't really matter. These are silver bag liners. Thermal silver bag liners is what I meant. And you can see they open up nice and big, and you can place your product inside that. Here's an example of this in use. Here we have some ground beef, about 20 pounds of ground beef inside a box, and you can see the liner is just going to add extra insulation to it. Now, I could do this pack out a couple ways. I could either put this box and put it inside my bigger box, or as like as a layer of insulation. That's not always necessary. Now, if you're trying to create a really extreme pack out, then maybe you would want to do this, but you don't have to. So what this is good for is having your product in. I could lift that product and set it right in here with our 2 panel liners. So I'm just showing you a couple variations. So this thermal bag is just really great to encase any product in any packing situation. And you can see they come in big bundles, and you can just kind of store them wherever. Okay, so then this brings me to our liners. These are the thermal liners. These are biodegradable, and I believe these are MP Global liners. So you can see what they look like. There's an A piece and a B piece. The A piece lines the back and the bottom, and the B piece lines the sides. And, you know, there's a lot of options out there for shipping material. Some people use styrofoam boxes. Some people use, you know, they're cutting like wedges out of big sheets of insulation material from Home Depot. Whatever you use, eventually to have, you know, the security in your shipping system, you're going to want to move to something like these liners. And that's because they have the highest R value on the market. They're the best insulators you can get. It's the difference between sending a package off and praying to the shipping gods and being able to sleep peacefully at night. So it's just whichever you want to do. The styrofoam and all the other things, they work really great, but At the end of the day, when you get to a certain point in your business, you just want a good night's sleep. These are your answer. So you can kind of see what those look like. This is a 15 by 15 by 15 box, and this is 20 pounds of ground beef. And so this 20 pounds actually fits really nicely in this 12 by 12 by 12. And the way that we ship is we'll just place this and put it right into the 15 by 15 by 50. So this box fits really nicely right inside of here. See, I'll just slide it right on in. And the nice thing about doing it this way, guys, is you can prep a lot of this the night before. So like you can pack your 20 pounds of product inside your bags, and then you can get these boxes ready and put your liners in, and then you can print out labels the night before. So a lot of it can be done prep so that when you come into the warehouse setting or your garage or whatever it is on ship day, you're ready to roll, because you do not want to ship any later than Monday and Tuesday, whether you're going ground or express, because delays happen, and it's just too risky. Unless you're paying for like an overnight and you have insurance on it, or even a 2-day gets a little dicey. So I want to get as many boxes as I can out on Monday or Tuesday, preferably Monday. So coming in prepared and having all this stuff prepped the night before is a game changer for being able to accomplish that. And then I'm just going to place my gel packs right on top. I'm going to put it inside of the product box, and then I'm going to do 2 on top, just because why not? So that's 2, 4, 6, 8. That's 8 pounds of ice pack, 20 pounds of product, and then our liners. And the great thing about using these liners also is you don't have to go as heavy on ice or dry ice as you normally would. If I were doing dry ice in this pack out example, which I'm not, just because I didn't have any at my disposal at the moment, so I'm just using ice packs. But if I were to use dry ice for this video, I would just use a 10-pound block, place that right on top, and that would be pretty sufficient for this pack out. 10 pounds is your standard size that you're going to get, unless they're more dissipated from your supplier. Sometimes you can get 8 pounds, or what I like to call shakers, and they'll just be like broken up pieces. Or if you're using pellets, then you can always put those pellets inside one of these thermal liner bags or a paper bag. Pretty simple. And then last but not least, you want to have all of your stickers. So this is your only communication with your drivers, your FedEx, UPS drivers, once it leaves the warehouse. So you want to use as many stickers as possible. When it comes to dry ice labels, ground shipping, you do not need dry ice labels, but for express shipping, you have to report how much dry ice is in your box. So you want to have those dry ice labels on top. You can fill them out. They actually go by grams, so you have to do the calculation, kilograms. So you got to do the calculation of weight, pounds into kilograms. But then you've got your branding stickers, things with your logos on them, perishable, this side up, frozen product. You can get all these stickers, guys, on Amazon. That's just the easiest place to get them. Or even FedEx.com or UPS.com. You can sometimes order straight from those guys too. But they're super cheap, and I'm telling you guys, they will make all the difference when your box is in transit. The last thing is when you're taping these up, guys, I always say that tape is cheaper than having to replace product. So go heavy on the tape, especially if you're dealing with heavy product like an 1/8 beef, or even just 40 pounds or even 20 pounds. A lot of people ask me all the time, like, do I need double-walled boxes? I have never found them to be necessary, but single wall has served us just fine. And this is like years and years of shipping beef. But what we do is we reinforce our boxes really, really well with tape. So you're going across the seams on both ways, and then you're maybe giving a couple extra layers, maybe a couple extra layers over the seams itself, and reinforcing the bottoms of your boxes so that in transit, your product doesn't spill out everywhere. And the last thing is when you're doing labels, whether that be printing on paper and then peeling and sticking them, or they have sleeves where you just print on the paper, stick it in the sleeve. I always double tape my labels too, because the last thing I want to come off on my box is where it's supposed to be going. So that's just a little tip there. And then the last little material, not material, but thing that you're going to want to have is simply a little shipping scale. And you can get these, I think I got this one off Amazon a few years ago, but it's battery operated. And this one goes up to, I think, like 150 pounds. We used to use this one over here, but that one only goes up to 40 pounds. And obviously, if you're shipping like beef in bulk, like an eighth beef, sometimes your boxes are going to be up to 70 pounds. So you can get this off of Amazon for like 30 bucks. And it's portable. So wherever you're doing your shipping out of, whether it's in your garage or at a warehouse like this, or at your butcher's, wherever that's going to be, you can take it with you. And I just recommend getting like a little crate. This is our shipping crate. It has all of our labels in it. It's got, you know, scissors and box cutters if we need them, and markers. We like to put our customers' names on the boxes, especially when we're doing, you know, 10, 20 boxes a day, so we know whose is whose when labels come out. And then, yeah, we can just transport it wherever we need it to go. So that is pretty much it for shipping material, and a nice little 20-pound product pack out for you as an example of how it all works together. All right, guys, happy shipping.